It's been a month now since China reported any locally transmitted cases of coronavirus. And this has been a largely debated topic about how China, the place where coronavirus originated from, has managed to bring the virus under control. So we thought we'd put out some information about how this is possible, considering that over 202 countries in the world have been affected by COVID-19 thanks to China, and yet China right now for over a month hasn't reported any locally transmitted cases. We're going to give you details of a study by Journal Science that explains how China has successfully controlled the spread of coronavirus. And for this, it's important for you to know a term called serial interval, because according to the study, it's because China was able to control the serial interval that they were able to also control the spread of COVID-19 so effectively. So let me first explain for you what serial interval is, and stay with me, it gets a little complicated. Let's assume person A has coronavirus. Now person B has also contracted the virus from person A, which means person B is a primary contact. Now, serial interval is the time from when person A showed the symptoms of the virus to when person B, who also contracted the virus from person A, starts showing the symptoms. That is your serial interval. I hope you're able to pick up that concept. Now, it is based on this that China started slowly evaluating how much of a spread coronavirus has. And it's important also to see the serial interval to identify how far we've reached in the fight against coronavirus. Let me just explain for you the data here. China said that in fact in mid-January, the serial interval on an average was about 7.8 days. That reduced in a matter of 15 days. By February, it went down to 2.2 days, which is excellent because the lesser the serial interval, it shows that they're doing better in the fight against coronavirus. And that brings me to my next point. Can a change in the serial interval actually show how well we're containing coronavirus? The answer is yes, because the serial interval is not a new concept. It's something that's been used in the past also to see how effectively we've controlled the spread of a disease. And in terms of a pandemic, it's been used to also track how countries are doing in the fight against COVID-19. So the lesser the serial interval, it means essentially that that country or administration has been effective in identifying people who have contracted the virus, immediately isolating them and taking the necessary steps so that there's no more transmission. It also, in a sense, is a way to evaluate exactly how much of the population is immune to the virus, how the virus is continuing to grow in particular droves or in particular groups. So that is another very, very important aspect that serial interval helps in establishing. In the case of China, they managed to drastically bring it down, which means that as soon as one person was infected, as soon as they started showing symptoms, they were immediately isolated, and then person B, who was a primary contact, was taken in even before they showed symptoms, using the data that Beijing had with regards to how long the serial interval was. And that's why it's very important to identify this particular aspect. Besides ensuring that they isolated suspected cases, they isolated people before they showed symptoms, they took a lot of steps with regards to a lockdown also, stopping inter and intra-city travel, essentially keeping a lockdown in place so that there was no spread of the virus, so the transmission was at a minimum. So besides isolating suspected cases, they also ensured that people who were healthy weren't mingling too much with people who perhaps could have gotten the virus. And during this lockdown period, what China also did is they used that time to conduct detailed studies. They studied the temporal changes in the serial interval distribution among different groups, how long it took for the transmission and how long it took for the symptoms to show. They worked on that to bring that down, and that also helped in a huge way. So while China has of course faced a lot of blame, a lot of answers are being asked of Beijing with regards to how coronavirus has spread across the world because of Beijing and the fact that they try to downplay the pandemic and the crisis, there are still lessons that we can afford to learn from China about how to ensure that transmission of this virus is kept at a minimum, how to use the data that they get on serial intervals to stop the transmission of the virus among healthy people. And that's why China today is in fact a model example for the rest of the world to follow on how to ensure that the virus is brought under control.